What's going on, guys? Graham, GSM Matthews here with WrestleRant.com. And ahead of Saturday, December 11th, Winter Warz Rumble coming to Westville, New Jersey, right outside of Philly. We got the Chief Operating Officer of SRG Universe Inc. himself, Griff Briggs. Griff, thanks for taking the time today. I appreciate it, my man.
Hey, Graham, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks to everybody out there watching and listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I got everything right there in the title. We just went over it 10 seconds ago before we pressed the record button, but I think that was about everything. But one of the things we do want to talk about here today that I forgot to mention right there, new South Brawl 2-player box set. It's a part of the Supershow the Game. There's a lot to talk about here. So, I mean, I know a little bit about it, but kind of tell me and fill everyone else in for those unfamiliar with Supershow the Game.
Yeah, wow. So Super Show, dates back to 2014. It came from a card game that our co-founder that played. He played a bunch of it. He said, you know what, this game's getting a little too complicated for my friends and family. So I'm going to make my own card game. And I love wrestling. Why not make a wrestling card game? So he developed a really cool interaction system that makes you feel like you're actually in a wrestling match playing the game. 2014, Kickstarter launched. It funded. And then, every year since then, we funded a successful Kickstarter every year. Last year, most recently, we just did a comic book. So we have a comic book coming out as well. And then new Kickstarter in 2022. So the game is really easy, right? You take on the persona of one of your favorite wrestlers that's in the game, or you may even create one in our game, or you can play with one of our own created ones. You build a deck of 30 cards, all wrestling moves, and then you duke it out across the tabletop from your partner. And, sometimes it feels so real, you have to stop somebody from getting that steel chair and smacking a person in the head with it.
That's awesome. I feel like wrestling card games and gaming in general just kind of go hand in hand with wrestling. So I feel like this is like the perfect thing for all fans. And you mentioned starting it back up in 2014. How have you seen the process of putting this all together, making it happen, getting the Kickstarter out there really evolve in the last 7 years?
I mean, my goodness, 7 years ago, it feels like it's 10 years ago at this point, not 20 years ago. It started off with a little bit of a guerrilla marketing or guerrilla sales, as it were, at Gen Con. And then since then, we've been at Gen Con. Really, we started to kick off and start to see the real great growth in 2019 and 2020, surprisingly enough. Back in 2019, we decided to do our very own convention. And we threw a convention for our fans that play our game. If you're a wrestling fan and had a chance to show up there too, you would have loved it as well, because we had over 150 people in the building. We had an over-the-top battle royale with cards. And on top of that, they got to meet Brian Cage, Sami Callihan, Sean Spears, and Tyler Breeze all showed up to play the game as well. So it was really if you're a fan of the game, if you're a fan of wrestling, they had a blast there. And then, from that moment on, we've really exploded in, online play of the game. So a lot of people play online, just like you and I are sitting talking. We could easily be playing a game of Super Show right now. Yeah. And that concept that we developed with online play has caused us to just grow twice over during the pandemic timeframe. And then the other great thing about that is we are almost entirely 100% made in America. So while some people are having some woes getting their pieces in, we were still cranking out product every single day and making sure our customers got what they wanted and got what they needed. And all of that kind of culminates into this last year leading up to the wrestling show. Being wrestling fans, my wife in the company, she's our graphic designer. She is really the wrestling lover out of the two of us, more so than I am. And she had always had a dream that she wanted to throw her own wrestling show and have her own wrestling show. And, we said, why not PAX Unplugged, which is the weekend that we'll be up there. And we ran to Dump Sanders down in Alabama, who is a freaking fantastic guy. His promotion, New South Pro Wrestling, is so amazing that as soon as we fell in love with that, we're like, this is a match made in heaven. Let's do a wrestling show just like we did our convention back in the day. Let's actually have a wrestling show with our fans, with New South Pro Wrestling, and then let's let you play those wrestlers that you're watching in the ring and the box set at the tabletop.
Yeah, that's such a perfect combination right there. And I feel like, especially since you had mentioned that you guys did the convention back in 2019, were there plans to do another one earlier than this before the pandemic kind of threw everything for a loop?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 2020, we had planned to do their convention. We had really planned to be a permanent fixture of our company's, we called it the Grand Gathering. And really what it was is everybody coming in together as a family that's a part of this community. And 2020 kind of hit us hard. We we slow played it and then finally had to outright cancel just because of the COVID restrictions. And 2021 is kind of the same, more the same. But most recently, we held a create a competitor competition. So you can play the game, and if you win the tournament, you get to create your own wrestler in our game. And so we threw a big one up in Cleveland, Ohio, and we had about 70 people show up to that. So as COVID restrictions start to lift, you know, hopefully 2022, we're going to really rock it out, make sure we hit all the big conventions, and hopefully throw another one ourselves.
That would be awesome. And as far as like the online component goes too, you mentioned how you guys really thrived under that during the pandemic for obvious reasons. Did that come from like more of a geared, like because of the pandemic, you guys couldn't do more in-person stuff, or was that already in motion well before that?
You know, it's interesting. It actually was in motion just prior to the pandemic. So prior to myself joining the company, my wife joining the company, my wife was a Twitch streamer. She streamed a lot on Twitch. So when her and I got on board and found this game and said, you know, this is something awesome, we decided to bring that component that was a part of her life and a part of mine as well to the Super Show. And what we started with was I started commentating on matches. And just like you would watch a wrestling match, you know, you watch these two players, they're dropping cards and rolling dice. And I would sit behind a announcer's booth and I would call the moves and call the cards as they're played. And that really started the aspect of playing online. People it loved it. It grew. We had something called the online arena where we would come in and people would just play and we just commentate on the matches. Well, then when that all happened, Discord kind of started rising, you know, with the pandemic, with Zoom going on. We had an online league that you could play over Discord. And then finally, once the pandemic was in full swing, we already had all of the kind of pieces in line that says that we can play this game successfully. We can, you know, have championship battles over online. Everybody, has a great time doing it. We have actual belts. You know, we have straps. If you're the winner, we have several of them. You know, tag team, tornado tag, the world heavyweight, the underworld. So we found that we could defend those online. And at the end of the day, it's a wrestling cards and dice game. And you know, our community is such a bunch of fun loving people that, you know, just playing the game is fun, whether you win or lose. So you don't get any of the, you know, the allegations of cheating or any of that, just because how much fun the game really is.
Yeah. And kind of going off that, you mentioned it before, I have to ask, how did the commentary go? What was that experience like for you? Was it like an easy transition or did it take some time to kind of get used to?
You know, it was kind of weird. It started with a show called Monday Night Real.
Nice.
And so I fell in love with the game because of the acting. You know, I got to play a wrestler. That was super cool. You know, I got to take on an alter ego and be that person.
Yeah. And
so we started out with a show called Monday Night Real. And what it was we were peeling back the curtains of, you know, the gimmick and really doing a show, you know, and my wife and I were going to do that. And she's like, look, no one's going to watch us. And that became one of the highest watched shows on our Facebook at the time. And so from there, my character was always known as the LEO, aka the Law, aka the best dang commentator, right? And so because of that, it was a kind of easy transition to be behind the camera. I enjoyed the acting and the commentating more than I did actually playing the cards. Wow. You know, let my wife play the cards. She was a world champ with so let her do that, and I just love to sit back and just entertain the folks watching.
Did she have her own persona, or was she like an actual wrestler in the game, like one of the names that you mentioned earlier?
So she is known currently as Belle, but she originally went by Miss Southern Belle.
Nice.
You know, in our world, the LFF, which is the Legendary Fighting Federation, which is where everybody wrestles in cards, of course. She was the richest woman in the LFF, and so Miss Southern Belle owned a lot of the ring that we wrestled in. So that was her big gimmick. And finally, once she took on the world champ, she kind of played a little dirty, used some chairs, used some dirty tactics in the game, and, you know, dropped the Miss Southern, because, you know, it's not really necessarily nice Southern woman using a chair against her opponent. So now she's just known as Belle, and you know, she's in the game. You can purchase her character in the game. You can purchase my character in the game, as well as many of our other customers as well.
Well, kind of going off, that's fantastic. Like, what are some of the other creative characters and wrestlers that you've seen rise up in the last few years that have really taken your attention?
Oh my goodness! And if we're talking about just watching the indie wrestling scene in general, my current hands down favorite guy that I've hung out with, that I've talked with, is Effie. And I think he's really come up and from when I first saw him at a Nashville show, GCW show in Nashville wrestling Orange Cassidy, right? That has just, his dominance and his growth has exploded. Taking the belt off Matt Cardona as internet champ, it's amazing there. Orange Cassidy is another big one. He was wrestling Beyond Wrestling, doing a bunch of that. And I loved him. I was like, man, this guy is the guy I need in the game. And I got to speak with him at a GCW show. And unfortunately, right about the same time that I was talking with him, he was transitioning to AEW. But I mean, look at his career. His career has gone from, just kind of the funny guy wrestling to having a shtick. And now he's all over the place. But even more so than that, back in 2014, we partnered with House of Glory Wrestling. We still do a lot with them. And so Amazing Red is in the game. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Elite, AJ Styles, Ricochet, all those guys back in 2014 that were wrestling shows at House of Glory are in our game. And because we got them from back then. Now, of course, today we don't sell those cards anymore because they've moved on to bigger and better things. But, you can still hunt one down on eBay or some of the secondary sites and get one of their cards as well. I think that's really the big fish that we didn't know were going to be big fish, but now they are. And I think we're really hunting for some more of those people. And I think New South is a prime place for that. Kinsey Paige Henry out of New South. She's wrestling AEW Dark and NWA. Not only is she just amazingly talented in the ring, but I think she does some teaching down there with New South as well. So she really loves it. And she's one of the promoters at Flawless Wrestling, maybe even one of the owners there, I believe.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And so it's Flawless Women's Wrestling. So check that out too for her. But, I think she's really, if you look at upcoming stars, she is an up and coming talent. And I'm glad to have her in the game. And I'm also glad to be able to go see her at New South and, of course, the show in Philly.
I feel like she's one of those people in the last 18 months since the whole pandemic started, when AEW really started showcasing a lot of the independent talent. She was a name I personally took notice of and really didn't know prior to that point. NWA as well. I think she was on the pay-per-view a couple of days ago that they had, but yeah, her among many other people. And you talk about like the bigger names that were involved with the House of Glory partnership 7 years ago. You mentioned Ricochet, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and from the original incarnation of the game. In the last 18 months since the pandemic kind of started, obviously there's been a lot of major names that have become free agents from WWE, now Ring of Honor, and various other promotions. You kind of see that and are like excited to work with some of these people and get them in the game at some point. What's that process like?
Absolutely. So one of my jobs at the company, besides being the CEO and one of the co-owners, is I actually go out and talent acquisition.
That's awesome.
And so that's my primary day-to-day when I'm dealing with, as I go out and hunt talent. And, with the layoffs at WWE, with everybody kind of getting freed up, I know, Ring of Honor is closing down for a little bit. So some of their guys are looking for bookings. It really is, I'm a booker. I go out and book these guys. I use their booking email, or I leverage some of the contacts that I have to get in touch with them. And I would say generally the process is very easy. I mean, it's hard as a wrestler to say, I'll take your money. I don't have to take a bump. I don't have to fly somewhere. I don't have to get dropped on my head. Right. And then on top of that, when we create their card in Super Show, we give them copies as well. And so one of the few ways that you can get your card signed is you can go to that individual wrestler who's in our game. Sammy Callahan, for example, he's a couple versions of him are in our game, and we work with him quite a bit. You can go to Sammy directly, and he has copies of his competitor, Madman Fulton, Les Sicaria, Ivelisse here recently. Of course, Effie, we've worked with Danhausen and JP Warhorse, and Danny Limelight. And, one of the ways that I really like to scout talent is I go and watch the AEW Dark almost religiously. I watch that more than I do any of the other wrestling shows because they bring on talent that is up and coming. Yeah. JT Dunn, he's in the game. He's got a couple of iterations in the game. We know him pretty well.
Yeah,
he is, and he's going to be on AEW Dark. He's in like a triple threat match, three-way 3-on-3 match. So there's a lot of that's how we scout a lot of talent. That's how, at least I scout a lot of talent, and especially coming from somebody who is a new wrestling fan, I would say. Within the past 5 years, maybe even less than that. That's the easiest way for me to do it. And I love it. I enjoy working with those guys.
That's really insightful that you said that, because there are so many people from Dark that are just really not signed anywhere, just getting an opportunity. Even some of those people have gone on to go to WWE, for example. The Cora Jade,
Absolutely.
for example, was just on Dark a year ago as Elena Black, I think her name was, and now she's in NXT and among other people. The JT Dunn match, was that something coming up, or was that a match that already happened?
It's coming up. He just posted it on his Facebook just the other day.
Oh,
So yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been following him here on the Northeast wrestling scene for like 10 years now. That guy's, I'm honestly shocked that he's not signed to like a major promotion by this point, you know?
A lot of people really that I've worked with that are just super talented. And you got to wonder, what's it going to take for them to get to the next level in their career? Because, and I've seen some great house shows of some New South shows. I'm telling you, we were at one New South show and it was absolutely amazing. I've been to some GCW shows, Impact shows. I've been to all that, and I had the most fun at the New South show. And the guys put up I felt like a 3-story ladder they were fighting on. I mean, this was so much fun. Yeah. And I really think that if people are only watching the big promotions, right? If you're only tuning in on TV and not checking out IWTV, if you're not checking out, Fight or some of the other smaller stuff, then you're really missing out.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there has never been more of an abundance of wrestling than there is right now, and an abundance of wrestlers too. And the cool thing about the current landscape of wrestling is that you could see someone there and then see them on Dark the next day, or, see them in a major promotion. With like a lot of these people, it seems like they're kind of going everywhere. Like a Matt Cardona just showed up in NWA, and he's also been in Impact lately. Someone like him. I feel like someone like him with the action figure stuff that he does with Major Figure, I forgot the exact name of it, but I feel like he'd be a perfect fit for you guys and the entire Super Show game world at some point. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a toy drive every year too, and currently we're doing something on our website. It's Fill the Van. Our CEO and co-founder has a big van that I don't like to ride in, but he likes to fill it with toys this time of year. So people have gone to our website, and you can donate straight to our website on Fill the Van, and they're loading it up right now and taking it over. They'll be taking it down to his charity here soon.
Nice. Very nice. And you look at the roster for the game too, as we wind down here, a lot of these guys are just super creative, like Effie, Danhausen. Like my girlfriend just got into wrestling a couple of years ago, but she loves people like, Malachi Black and AEW right now, but like a Danhausen who really like stands like I don't know if I could ever tell you one single major match that he's had, but the guy is so entertaining. Right. And I love the fact that he's a part of the roster. So someone kind of along those lines, I mean, obviously without giving spoilers, and this is what you do obviously in acquiring talent, but is there anyone on a wish list that realistically you would think, okay, this person would be a great fit for the game that we want to work with at some point? Maybe not somebody you're currently in negotiations with, but maybe at some point down the road, you feel like would be perfect for the Super Show game roster.
Oh my goodness. I mean, there is a laundry list of people that I wish I could have. And I'll tell you my big goal, my big dream would be to have an all female box set, kind of like we're doing with New South, 6 competitors, and there's a whole list of names. You gotta look at Impact's knockout roster being, one of the best. I'd love to have Jordan Grace on there. She'd be amazing. If I had to say who would be perfect for this game, I would say that the Inner Circle would be nice, fantastic, right? That would be, and of course, I personally love MJF. I think he's fantastic. He's amazing on the mic. I'm sure that based on how he feels, he probably wouldn't want a bunch of nerds trying to play him as a character, right? But he'd be on my list for sure. Malachi Black, like you said, my son was a big fan of him when he was Aleister Black in WWE. He loved the entrance and everything. So he'd definitely be on the list. And of course, my white whale is always going to be Orange Cassidy. Yeah. Right. I mean, that the creativity he has is right up there with what we see in this game. But more so than those big guys, I enjoy working with somebody who wants to be a part of the game. And I can tell you a quick little aside with working with Ivalise. She loved it. She loved the idea. We taught her how to play. She played for the U.S. title belt in our game. That's awesome. But when I told her about the game and I actually had a Zoom call and taught her how to play, and I said, what do you want your character's stats to be, right? And each character has a stats of 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 6, 5, right? Or 6 different stats. everybody has to have a 10. Everybody has to have one of each number. So I said, hey, what do you like? Well, she came back with, I want a 10 in this, a 9 in this, a 9 in this. And then it's, 7 here and like a 6 here. And that's what I want. I was like, okay, well, how about we do this? So we designed her gimmick, which makes her wrestler special, so that when she has a certain amount of cards in play, she has a 10, a 9, and a 9. So we gave her what she wanted. And
that's cool.
Working with that and working with the creativity that she had there was amazing, and that's really what I strive for. It could be somebody with 2,000 followers to somebody with 100,000 followers, but if they had the passion and creativity and desire to want to grow their fan base with us, that's what I want to work with.
That creativity, I think, is key, especially for a project like this. And I think the common theme among everyone you mentioned has that creativity. I mean, obviously all performers, I would say all professional wrestlers have creativity to a certain extent because it's professional wrestling and it's just completely ridiculous. But I think some more than others, especially with some of the names that you mentioned. But like we mentioned before, the new South Brawl 2-player box set is going to be out this Saturday at the show. It's going to be, let me get the name of it here. Winter Warz Rumble. I'm forgetting the name. I don't want to completely botch it, but It's coming up on Saturday, Westville, New Jersey, like you said, right outside of Philadelphia. People can check it out, 7 p.m. bell time. Just real quickly, what can people expect from the show? And why should people, come on, check it out on Saturday?
Man, first of all, come check it out. If you're not a fan or don't know who New South is, just check the box of curiosity. It's $20 at the door. Bell time starts 7. It's worth the $20 just to see people like Kinsey Paige Henry. And one of the big matches I'm excited about is she is currently the tag team champion, one half of the tag team champions. We're gonna have an intergender tag team match, so 2 females against 2 males for the tag team match there. It's going to be fantastic. Adam Priest versus a very good professional wrestler. That's going to be a huge match. Excited about that. And then of course Derek Neal versus Blank. Derek Neal is a very, very scary man out of Kentucky, just up north of me. So he's huge. He's a monster. Come watch him. And you can't forget that the 30-person over-the-top Royal Rumble style event is going to be at that show. And then I don't even know who all is going to be in the Rumble.
Okay.
I mean, that should tell you something, right? It's going to be a blast and just a good time. Plus, you can pick up a box set. You can meet all the wrestlers if you show up at 6 o'clock and grab yourself a VIP access, or we have the all-in-one bundle. If you want to pay for the show, for VIP access early, and for the box set, we'll give you a box set too. It's all $50 for all those things. Get your stuff signed, come meet everybody. It'll be a good time.
That's a hell of a deal. And especially with Christmas right around the corner too, I feel like the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Absolutely.
So it works out wonderfully. But Griff, this has been great, man. Thanks so much for the time. Where can people find you and find out more information about everything Super Show Game?
Yeah, absolutely. Check out supershowthegame.com. Has all our information on it. Or you can also fit us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under Super Show the Game, or SRG Universe as well. Check us out on those places. Also on twitch.tv/SRG Universe. We stream like all the time. I'm not streaming anymore, unfortunately. I'm so busy. But Wednesday nights we have a talk show. So come check us out there. If you want to tune in if you play the game and you want to check out how to play the game online, Tuesday night's a great time to do that because we have the dojo where you can enter in, win some free product, and have a great time.
Nice. So watch AEW Dark. Check out the show on Twitch. It feels like the perfect Tuesday night. We're speaking on Tuesday right now. This is going to be going up after the fact, but still going forward for Tuesdays. People could check that out. But Griff, like I said, show coming up on Saturday. People could check out the product and the show as well. This has been great, man. Thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you.